All right. So first off, how do you feel like things have been going for you guys? I know it was a tough loss last week, but how do you feel like you guys are doing?
I think we got a really neat team. We're not overly talented, um, but our guys sure play hard and they care about each other and uh, and they're going to give it their best every time they play. And that wasn't any exception on Saturday. Tulane was a good team. They were just better than us and beat us. But we didn't do enough to help ourselves either. We played a great second quarter, had ourselves in the game with a chance to win, and just didn't do enough in the second half to get ourselves in position again. So they got a great spirit, and I think they're excited to play again. Everybody going through the same thing with this COVID situation. Just grateful for every game and the opportunity to play. And our guys have worked really hard and prepared and invested a lot, and they certainly want to maximize the opportunities to play. So looking forward to this Saturday for sure.
I know you've had a lot of different guys taking snaps at quarterback, and it seems like a lot of them bring different things to the table. And you've also missed a couple of games, and I think you didn't win it 3 weeks between games when you played Tulane. That's and especially when you're trying to find some continuity at the most important position in your offense. Has that been tough?
It's been a challenge, that's for sure. Um, who we thought would be our starting quarterback, Jabari Laws, went down in preseason camp, and that was so unfortunate. He had gotten an ACL injury late in the season last year. He didn't start the season last year as the starter, but really earned his way to be the starter last year at the end of the season, and then he got hurt, and so we were really anticipating him coming back and be able to lead our football team. He got hurt again in preseason camp, which left us with the rest of the guys that we've played this year, and we've played a lot of different quarterbacks this year, and really, if you look at the depth chart and considered Cade Ballard and Tyre Tyler, the two guys that had taken the snaps in all of the snaps in both the UTSA game and the Mercer game, that's our number 5 and number 6 quarterback on the depth chart. So just give them a lot of credit, and Cody Worley, our quarterbacks coach, and Brent Davis for kind of putting a plan in place for those guys and for their competitiveness and their preparation. So really pleased just with the job that they've done. And we got Christian Anderson back, who was the starter at the beginning of this year, and he had been off for 6 weeks, so he was a little rusty and didn't probably play his best on Saturday, and he was just one of, I think, a whole team full of guys that we wish could have just maximized our potential a little bit better and put ourselves in better position.
Well, you go from playing the guy that took over the reins for you and Willie Fritz to taking on a guy who you brought back to Georgia Southern in 2013 with Chad Lunsford this week.
Well, Chad's doing a really good job with the program. They're having a great year, and their 2 losses are to 2 really good football teams, and they've been in every game, and they're a well-coached team. They're also a very talented team. They look like the Georgia Southern teams that I know, fast and athletic and competitive, and so they're doing a great job, and it's going to be a real challenge for us. We know that athletically and speed wise, they're going to have an edge on us. So we're just going to have to execute and perform our responsibilities and the fundamentals at a really high level.
2013, you bring Chad on as your wide receivers coach and recruiting coordinator. He had been with Coach Seawalk before in 03 to 05. How did that process go about? And was Brent Davis or Mitch Ware or some people that overlapped instrumental in recruiting him or vouching for him?
It was really on the recommendation of Coach Seawalk and Brent and Mitch. Just his experience recruiting the state of Georgia, at Georgia Military, at Georgia Southern, And then his experience at working so closely with recruiting at Auburn, and he had a passion for that, and so we really brought him back to do that and to help take our recruiting efforts to the next level. And it was hard to get him to say yes. Georgia Southern, at the time we were an FCS school just transitioning to FBS. Wasn't like we could offer gobs and gobs of money to people to come be assistant coaches, and it was a big move for his family, but he did it and came and joined us, and just again, like we said, we were excited to get him in the program just for what we knew he could bring from a recruiting standpoint.
So you mentioned about the transition from FCS to FBS. Do you see a big difference in the talent level, or what Georgia Southern has now compared to maybe what you guys were able to recruit back then, or is it more of a depth thing, or what?
I think a lot of it is depth. Over the years, Georgia Southern has always had a very talented football team, and Irk and Tim and Paul all put guys into the NFL. Mike, there's always been some very talented players at Georgia Southern. I think being an FBS school and having 85 full scholarships to offer just allows you to get more of those kinds of guys. So I see that across the board. The depth that they have across the board at every position is clearly there, and so that again, I think Georgia Southern's a place that can have a very talented roster. The state of Georgia is an outstanding state to recruit. We have over 25 players in our program from the state of Georgia, so we recognize what great high school football there is, and so I'm not surprised that they got a talented, fast football team. It looks like Georgia Southern has and should.
They've kind of tried to stay with some form of the option ever since you came back. There's been different forms of it between what Willie Fritz had, Tyson Summers, to Chad Lunsford and whoever the OC is. Where do you see it right now?
Well, they're very much an option football team, and just it doesn't look necessarily the same as what we do because we're under center and we've got slot backs that are going in motion and those kinds of things. But they've got a lot of read plays, and oftentimes it's just a two-way option where they're going to get to the running back or the quarterback's going to carry it. And I know they're trying to find ways for that quarterback to carry it. He's really, really talented. That's very much like the midline options that we've run over the years. When we had guys like Greg Hill, we didn't mind having him run it either. So he was reading one guy and he was either handing it off to Adrian Peterson or running it himself, and it was a pretty good combination. So there's a lot of principles that are very similar, and they just do it in a different way, and it's fun to watch. And they're doing some great stuff, and they've got some really good coaches, Coach DeBus and Doug Roos being back there again now. And that they're very fortunate to have two guys like that. I think they're really good at what they do.
With that being said, the defenses that you guys both employ are fairly similar as well, and I think you both take a lot of pride in shutting down the run and being aggressive as well. Where do you see the defenses at both schools?
Scott Sloan's an excellent coach, and I talked to Scott several times, both at Georgia Southern and here, about job opportunities, just because I have so much respect for him. Ironically, he and Coach Woody, our defensive coordinator, are really good friends. They spent time even just this last offseason talking about defense and defending the option, and so they've worked together. They know each other very well, and those create some challenges certainly for us because they are so familiar with what we do. I think Scott's doing a great job. They're very aggressive, run to the ball, multiple enough that they just give you headaches, but I think not so complex that their guys can't play really fast, which they do.
Discipline is another thing as far as the defenses go, and for some respect, the offenses. You coached at Georgia Southern and then you went to Army. Discipline was a big thing for you here. Obviously, at the academy, that's a big. They're they're ingrained in that. What was it like going from Georgia Southern to Army, as far as the discipline and things like that went, as far as the coaching aspect?
I think human beings need discipline, and they need young people especially, and it's not unique uh, at other schools as opposed to West Point. What our young people here need a line drawn in the sand. They need to know just how far they can take it, and so the thing about this experience here is that discipline is a part of their daily life. There are professional standards for our young men and women who are here at the academy from the moment they wake up. They have formations in the morning. There's a uniform of the day that they're expected to wear and wear it appropriately. And there are professional standards for the way that they address and speak to other people on campus, particularly officers and professors. So that daily discipline is a part of their life here as a cadet at West Point. But I think those expectations and those standards can be put in place in any organization. And I think at Georgia Southern, our guys responded very well to the standards that we had in place. We too had professional standards for the way they attended class and the way that they dressed when they were representing our program, and how they addressed and spoke to other people on campus, and communicated with their professors. And I think those are life lessons that we as coaches and we as teachers have a responsibility to instill in our young people, so that they can maximize their potential and benefit from the professionalism that comes with those standards. So I don't know that I coach our team here a whole lot different than I did the one at Georgia Southern. Um, and I think that's part of our recipe for success are those professional standards and discipline that we include as a part of the program.
Another thing that's been successful for you guys has been your home field. In the COVID era, without being able to pack the stadium like it's been before, is that still there? And what's the game day home atmosphere like now?
It's a little different, obviously, with not having fans from the outside coming in. What we've done is taken our core of cadets who typically sit behind the opposing bench and take up about half of that side of the stadium, and we've spread them out throughout the stadium. So we've got an old historic stadium. We've got some new pieces to it, but the bottom horseshoe that was the original stadium here at West Point, our Corps of Cadets spread out throughout that horseshoe, and it makes it feel a little bit more attended than it would if they were all sitting over there together. There's about 4,400 of them, and that's the extent of our crowd here this year. But they do a great job. They love West Point and cheer for our team, and it's their school colors out there on display, and they're gonna stand behind them and cheer for them.
Speaking of school colors, it's going to be weird to see the Georgia Southern blue and white on the other side from you coaching against them in a game.
It is, and I cheer for Georgia Southern every week. I love Georgia Southern, and it's such a special place to me personally and to our family, Statesboro, and that community, our friends there. But that program and that school, I kind of feel like Georgia Southern's my alma mater a little bit. I'm a proud Millikan grad, but I spent 9 years at Georgia Southern and feel really ingrained in that institution and the community that surrounds it, and that football program. I kind of grew up in that football program under Paul Johnson and got my start as as a college head coach at Georgia Southern. So just forever grateful to the people there and the support that we receive, the friendships that we have, and it'll be hard to cheer against Georgia Southern. There's something about that blue helmet with the white stripe and those white and blue uniforms that are so iconic and so unique, really, these days in college football. The traditional uniform of Georgia Southern's really pretty special.